pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to get right into it. Start with the approval of minutes from the regular session February 5th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Do we have any discussion or changes to the minutes? All in favor? Thank you. Yes. All in favor? Whitney. Excuse me. We'll move on to the financial report.
First, I just want to follow up on the contracted services line item from a question from last month.
Oh, yes.
It was, as I anticipated, there was, we created a number of purchase orders to sort of cover the money that we know we have to spend, and a number of invoices had been paid outside those purchase orders. That has been cleaned up, which you can see in the line item this month, and that line item is 225, so it actually has a balance. Anticipated balance in the positive at this time. And we currently are still monitoring the specialized transportation. But between that overage and the underutilization of the tuition payments because of some changes there, we should be okay as far as special education funding. The rest of the budget is in decent shape, but if you have specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
I had one question just on page 2. The custodian salaries line jumped by about 11,000 since last month. I don't know if that was something anticipated or something extra, or if it's a bookkeeping issue.
It went up, but I thought it only went up by 2,000.
I mean, we've had overtime in the last month, but it shouldn't have been that much unless there was somebody. Did you have any
Hold on,
turnover?
I think I have last month's report. Sorry. I thought it was only, it was, oh no, you are correct. Sorry, it was at
So
27.
did you have any turnover that anybody start in the last month or so that could have been not fully encumbered?
Possibly. Okay.
We'll look into that.
Okay.
Something for me to bring back next month.
And then I had just a question on the rural aid, if nobody
Yep.
has anything to say.
I have a couple, I'll go after you.
Okay. I was just wondering, on the rural aid, it looks like we have a budget balance of 76,000. Is that, what are we using that for?
So we know we will, if you'll remember the good old irrigation issue, we don't have the fix encumbered yet. I think we were preparing to identify exactly, we know there's a problem. We were preparing to identify the problem and schedule the fix, and then it got too cold too fast. So we're on hold until spring.
Okay.
I don't know what that will do. That'll be one thing for sure we want to take care of in there before we can say what else is left and what we do with it. It can be spent for absolutely worst case. It can be spent on anything school related, so we would use our final bills to spend it. If it needs to be spent by June 30th, it would end up with a turn back more to the town.
Did you have some questions?
I do, yeah, real quick. On page 2,
Yep.
and this is more just 2 items, I just want to get your thoughts. So I'm looking at 300.290.2451, technology, supply, materials.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that trend for the next couple months? Is that something that,
It won't increase, I don't believe.
okay.
Yeah.
And it's
And
been
that's-
a holding steady.
Yeah, that's mostly the supplies and materials of maintenance and and a subscription. So I don't think we'll have any more between now and the end of the year.
And thank you for that. And then similarly, 300, same page, 300, 405, 3,300, the training salaries.
What we've done on that line item is there's a Tantascwa and Burgess both, if you remember from the transportation piece, there's a training budget on the Burgess side and there's a training budget on the TRSD side. And we've moved all the remaining expenditures for the year to that TRSD number. If we don't spend them all, we will move some of the excess.
I think we had talked about that like last month and the month before, so I just wanted to make sure I was interpreting that.
Yeah.
Those are
But I
my-
confirm that has been done.
Okay,
And even then, I don't, right now, we look like we're staffed nicely and probably won't have more come on and train between now and the
I
end of the
wondered
year.
about
You
that
never know
too.
for sure.
Yeah.
But what you see is a positive balance on the driver line
Mm-hmm.
more than covers the shortfall in the training. So when we have folks leave, we're no longer, for a while, paying on that driver until we bring someone in, and then we pay them through the training line, and then, so it's, one is almost an impact on the other.
Kind of holds it balance.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, we feel like we're staffed well. Anything.
That's it. I'll follow up on the custodial salary.
Nothing else on the budget?
Nothing.
Financial report, I should say, excuse me. I'm
Okay.
getting ahead of myself. Communications.
We don't have any new communication this month.
Okay, moving on to the principal's report.
All right, enrollment is holding steady. It was at 806 at the time of this report. We had 2 additional students enroll. I think actually we have 1 pending, so that continues to creep up a little bit. I just want to thank Amy Cantwell, the entire reading department, and the entire staff for hosting our annual Read Across America event. It's wonderful to have that opportunity. Upcoming curriculum instruction and assessment information. These dates have changed. As the time of this report, the grades were closing on the 12th with report cards being issued on the 20th. We've extended that a week due to the lost time, the days, the snow days. Parent-teacher conferences will be held on the 24th and 25th, and you have our MCAS dates there. The upcoming, or actually the Professional Development Day we held today focused on our MCAS training and other departmental opportunities. The professional development on the 26th will host the Sense of Belonging workshop.
With the students,
Yeah.
the students presenting.
Kindergarten registration is ongoing. We have some pretty good numbers, and the screening will take place on the 30th of April and May 1st. PTO always has a lot going on for us, so we've had some great successful events. The somewhat special dance, bingo night for grades 4 and 5, our book fair, 100th day of school games, staff appreciation events, and many other things that are up and coming, like the Jogathon. The Coin Wars is ongoing, is wrapping up tomorrow, and it's been very competitive, and we have a Burgess Day at the Blue Sox game coming up. And just thank you to Paige Wood and all the PTO members for everything they do. Any questions?
Move on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, so we're gonna hold on the FY27 budget vote until after the public hearing, and then we'll be doing that. However, the formal vote. I am going to ask, or update you on my conversations with Barbara Berry and Robin, as they have been trying to balance the budget going into town meeting. I think I mentioned last month, they were very concerned, they still are very concerned, it is extremely tight. The request has come, and so I'm going to recommend that we pull out $140,000 for the bus and submit an article. And I've got a draft, it's the exact same article. If you remember last year, we submitted an article that would have had it paid for from free cash. At the 11th hour, we actually rescinded that article because we had grant money that could pay for the bus. So this conversation has all been about what happens when the bus goes back in. They're asking if we can pull it out one more time and then actually pay for a bus, leave the article on and fund it from free cash that they feel that they have to fund. And that is what they feel they need to be able to present a balanced budget. I'm okay with that, as long as they're gonna support the bus, which I trust they will. Again, we can vote the final after we come back, but if nothing else, if a vote right now from you all to submit the article, which I have drafted here someplace, would kind of be the equivalent of supporting us going into public hearing and saying, this is probably where we're gonna land. And I had it and have lost it. It is to, the standard legal language is to raise, appropriate, or pay for from free cash the sum of $140,000 for the purchase of a full-size school bus. And I think I'm asking for your support to submit that to the selectmen and the finance, and the rest, as far as the dollars of the budget, we'll deal with afterwards.
Okay, do I have a motion to submit an article to, let me make sure I'm wording this right, sorry, it's been a long day. Submit an article paid for from free cash, the sum of $140,000 for a bus, to purchase a bus,
Yeah.
to submit. Am I wording this right?
For fiscal 27?
For fiscal
Yep.
2027.
Yep.
Is that a second? All in favor?
So that at least gives me the permission to talk about it and refer to it at the public hearing, and we'll talk through what the lower number would look like, given that, and then we'll come back at the regular, once we finish that, to take your final vote.
So to clarify, this number will change now?
Correct.
Or is this, okay. 'cause this
Correct.
is
If
not-
nothing else, that number will lower by $140,000. We'll have other conversations and take
Okay.
feedback, but
Yeah.
that's what it's setting up to do, yes, and I can share that in there. The only other thing that I wanted to put on your radar, and we can decide now or not, couple of your upcoming dates. Your normal April meeting on April 2nd is unfortunately the same night as the TED Bingo Bash, the TED One Big Fundraiser a year. Don't know how active anyone here is in the TED organization. I certainly appreciate their support, so I wanted to put it out there to see if there's any interest in moving your meeting so that folks who might normally be here can attend the event. Your call.
Now, are we having a meeting April 27th?
That's the next thing. What, old school, what we did in, we'd connect your June meeting with the annual town meeting, because it was all within the same week. This year, the April town meeting is the 27th, which actually, because of the way the calendar falls, is not the same week as your May meeting, because May 1st is a Friday. So, do you want to have a meeting early on the 27th and not meet on May 7th, or keep them all, whatever you all would like?
Could we shove April and May on the 27th?
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Or you want to
You-
put both of them,
On one.
April and May?
The early April, it's your prerogative. If things are going well and you want to collapse and have one meeting on the night of the town meeting, you can.
And could we call the meeting late, sorry, to speak out of order, but if we change our mind and say, hey, actually, we do need to meet, we could call a meeting.
You can call, you
Yeah.
can call a meeting anytime.
Yeah.
Okay,
With 48 hours.
yeah, because of open meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
And
So-
we don't anticipate there's anything.
Well, we don't anticipate anything big, and again, we'll get a better feel coming out of, and I'm sure sometime in the next 2 weeks, I'll need to meet personally with the finance committee and go through the budget. If I get any inkling that something's not working well there, I'll certainly say we need to meet. We've also got a number of meetings with negotiations over the next month that if there's something urgent that needed to happen, maybe we could attach something on that night and try and get a quorum.
Can I ask how, if we need to call like an executive session for some odd reason, that we would just post that within
Sure.
48 hours and we
Yeah.
could still update
Yep, and you can have the
privately
meeting for only that, yeah.
for only an executive session if
Mhm.
needed,
Yep.
as long as we
Okay,
post it.
So right now, what I'm hearing is we'll cancel the April 2nd meeting. We'll plan on April 27th, starting early at the high school to run through all the business and then go to the town meeting. And then we'll go from there, quite
Cancel
frankly.
May 7th?
Cancel May 7th.
In theory, but we can decide that
Yeah,
on
we
April
can- do you
27th,
want to wait
quite
till the
frankly.
27th to decide that? Let's
Yeah.
wait till
Yes,
that.
please.
Okay.
Let's do
Can you
that.
just
Okay.
confirm what time are we meeting on?
On the 27th, yeah.
When are you all available on there all
Starts
day?
at 7, right? Town meeting starts at 7. Can we do
Hey, what do you-
6?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Can we do 6? Let's do 6 o'clock on the 27th.
At 6 p.m.?
Yes.
At the high school.
At the high school, right?
Monday, see you there.
That is all I have for now. We'll do the rest of our business, recess, and then I'll come back and ask for that vote.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll open it up to public access. Anyone have anything for us? No? Close public access. We will go to the subcommittee reports. First, we will have the Rural Commission. Mary, do you have any updates?
Hello, good evening. There's a great turnout. It's good to see you all. Rural Schools Week will be the week of March 9th, so it's coming up. As you know, I represent us on the statewide Rural Commission group, and they are interested in trying to get folks who are not in the Berkshires or far western Mass to share their perspectives. It's voluntary, it's optional. It can be an individual person, it could be the PTO. I've already shared this with Sam and with Paige. And it's also okay just to follow along on your own. They have some resources. They have a great website. I encourage you to look at that website, and I'll be posting it so others can look at it as well. Basically, Senator Comerford is trying to raise awareness that rural doesn't just mean the hill towns. It can also mean central Mass. It can mean pockets of eastern Mass. And so trying to get our legislators from across the Commonwealth to understand that that rural funding is necessary and useful, and that they should not cut it. So that is coming up next week, so I'll be sharing information about that. But kudos to our community for having such transparent conversations. There are other communities that are really going to have some rough town meetings, and we are glad to see this interest because it really does matter, and it's great to have all lessons together. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much. Now we have our negotiations. We did have a meeting. What was our first one? February 27th. Was that we did go over? Yeah.
And we had one just before this meeting,
And yeah,
which is
so we've had 2. Yeah. So
And 4 more?
we have 4 more scheduled.
It's already a busy month.
We're busy. Yeah. That's it for now. And then building a physical plan. There's nothing new. So. And task force representative, I believe she.
Not able to make the last meeting.
Yeah.
All snow days that
I
week
get
did
it.
not help.
I get it. I need to rattle my brain as to the last, so the Tantascwa meeting was presenting the budget
Yes.
for them to move forward to their public hearing, which is next week.
What is
So Tantascwa will have 2 meetings within 2 weeks because they're meeting earlier to meet the deadline for Sturbridge's town meeting. Say that again?
What is the Tantascwa budget?
So Tantascwa's budget is up 3.6%. That would have created some massive assessments, so there are new creative conversations going on about maybe rolling the dice a little bit around rural aid. So I will say I did, after getting, and I don't want to repeat myself so I lose track of when we talked here, but I did, when the governor's first budget came out, which has the rural aid line, it has a higher amount, not near what the commission wants, but I did call Todd Smollett. Sturbridge gets a little rural aid, Tantascwa and some of the other ones get a lot more. And I did call Todd Smollett and say, you know my spiel, I want to hear about it in January, I want it baked in Chapter 70, I usually can't spend it till I have it, but what I'm asking point blank is just, in all of your travels, are you hearing any whispers even about rural aid going away this year or ever? And his response was, no, Deb, if you're hearing that, I'd like to know where you're hearing it from. And I said, that's all I needed to know. So I needed to have the comfort that from a legislative point of view, they get it. They gotta work on it. Doesn't mean the problem is easy to solve, but it sounds to me they very well know we need to keep rural aid and we need to work on trying to get it baked in early and bigger, which allows me to be more comfortable in making some of the recommendations I'm gonna have to make in my other districts.
Excellent. Very good. It's a real bipartisan effort too.
It is.
It really is about helping families and communities. So that's great.
Yeah, so keep on keeping on. That was the crux. It was really the budget and going through them. Move forward. Yeah.
Unfinished business, I don't believe there's
I
any.
have none.
New business.
Still none. Maybe next. There's a couple of policies that did go on first reading to Tantascwa.
Okay.
So
Coming
they
down
may
the
be
pipeline.
coming. Yeah.
And then I don't know that we need the executive session
Now, I put it there because we never know what we, at
Yeah.
this point in time, we've just been working on ground rules, so by the next meeting, we'll certainly have a lot to
So, yeah.
update.
So I think we can have a motion to adjourn.
Recess.
Oh,
We want to
excuse me, not
recess.
adjourn, recess for 10 minutes, and then we'll go to the public, we'll open the public hearing for the FY '27 budget.
And then, so you'll recess this meeting, no time frame. We're gonna go to the public hearing, open that, take as long as we need to.
Oh, I thought we were gonna open
then
it
close
exactly
it.
6:30.
Well, we're gonna, no, I mean, we're gonna open it at 6:30. This thing stays in recess.
Oh,
Because then you'll come back and reopen it when all of that is done.
Which is why we're not voting on it.
Correct, because you do need to vote in regular full session. So we'll scoot back here after the public hearing. And that'll be the other piece of business. All righty. Down the road we go.
open the public hearing for the FY '27 budget for this. We're going to start by introducing ourselves. We'll start down at the end. Go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Mary Bridget Burns. I'm wrapping up my first term, and I've had 2 kids go through Burgess, and my third is going through right now.
My name is Katie Legendre. This is my first full year on the committee. I have 3 children at Burgess in 6th, 5th, and 2nd grade.
Jackie Cakley, I'm in my second term, and I had 2 kids go through Burgess. They're at the junior high and high school now.
Sam Kavinsky, I'm the chair. You all know me.
Whitney Goodwin, I am also Mary, wrapping up my first term. I have 2 kids at Burgess in 4th and 6th grade.
Deb Boyd, Superintendent.
Kristen Leo, Director of Business and Finance.
Debbie Kelly, Burgess Principal.
Karen Norick, Boarding Secretary.
Okay, boys.
I'm going to turn it over to Deb.
All right, take it over. Thank you for coming. Most faces are familiar. There may be one new one, and we'll get to know you all, I'm sure. We're going to run this pretty much the same way we have in the past. We'll talk a little bit between the 3 of us, Kathy, Kristen, and I. When we start going on the detailed pages, we try to do our best to answer questions before we're asked, but at the end of each page, if there's something missed, please chime in. We'll start in general to say, as I said in January when the school committee first had its discussion and review of the budget, the overall budget here is, right now, this moment, up 3.14%. That will probably change by the end of the night, and I will share some conversations we've had, mostly around the bus, around the good old bus. So 1% of that 3.14 is up because we put a bus back in the budget that we had taken out last year. So we're really looking at a 2.14% apples to apples, which we feel is pretty respectable. It is level services, not new services, no new staff, but continuing to do the way things we've been doing. The bottom half of this first page of the detail just shows what is helpful this year. In many years, our budget struggles are around special ed, out-of-district tuitions or in. This, we usually try to put a little picture of the year-to-year difference on special ed alone to show in this particular case, there's a decrease there in tuitions that have leveled out, and the state circuit breaker has picked up in level. So you don't have that special ed right now concern. We've had a leveling and even a moving out in the current year that's helping us next year. So that aside, it helps us do everything else that we need to do and meet all of our contractual obligations. I'm going to ask Kristen to go through first the pictures. For those of you that like pictures more than numbers, we've got the traditional pie charts that will kind of talk a little bit high level and then go from there.
That first page of the operating budget series actually is pretty reflective of that top part of the summary 1 series total. And for our purpose, as I'm chart kind of represents the budget in a pretty good way. You can see that the changes from fiscal 26 to fiscal 27 are pretty minimal across the board. You've got a little bit of an increase as far as percentage of the budget, decrease in your tuitions from 12.7 to 11.4, but the other sort of pieces of the pie are staying pretty consistent with past years.
A teeny tiny uptick in direct instruction, which we love to see.
The second page is just a historical budget changes over the last 5 years, as well as a 5-year average. With that current number, with the bus in there, 3.14, our 5-year average is 3.53. We have that one sort of outlier year in fiscal 2024 where the tuitions went up significantly. Those are for your special education out-of-district placements. And then the last chart that we have is just our enrollment over the last 5 years. And we kind of got from COVID and went up a little bit, and now we're sort of feeling what our other towns and districts across the state are feeling is a downtrend in our enrollment in the school. Yeah.
So the downtrend, is that due to declining population or charter schools or competitive places?
Sturbridge is finally starting to feel what's been happening in Central Mass and our other districts for a handful of years. It is decreasing student population, families having less students is primarily it. It's not, what we definitely doubt, for those that weren't here or those that want to remind you, that spike of 902 was the year that we had the emergency homeless shelter in town. So we had a spike in enrollment there. That went down. So last year's decline was mostly, not all though, mostly that population that was no longer here. The decline continues, and it's really a trend that we're seeing in Central Mass. A few years ago, it was actually across the state. It is across the state. It is across the state, so not so much in the urban areas, but it's across the state to the point that the Department of Ed, when our initial October 1 numbers went in, not just ours, the whole state, sent a report out to every district saying, can you please check your numbers, because these numbers are down a decent amount statewide. That is going to start impacting a number of things. Locally, it starts impacting our Chapter 70 funding because fortunately we're in a hold harmless world. So hold harmless says they can't decrease what they give us for Chapter 70. We quite frankly bumped up when we had a population here for 1 year. They kept us at that level. Now that we're going down, we can't get cut, but we're getting minimum. Right now it's $75 per student, which is nothing.
How does homeschool, is that have an effect on it, or is that still
The only thing,
the chapter?
the only thing homeschool affects us is it's not a student that counts that we get Chapter 74. Fortunately, we pay nothing for homeschool, which is different than if there's a Sturbridge student who chooses either to go to another school or be part of the official virtual academies. Those do cost us in school choice, the school choice assessment. Homeschool doesn't cost us to educate those students, but there are students that aren't in the building that would count towards our head count and Chapter 70 calculation. Does that make sense?
If you look at population data, the forecast for 26,
Well, and that, this budget is built on our estimated enrollment for 26, which is down, 27, down a little bit, because you've got a pretty heavy 6th grade class. Across all 5 towns, there's a large 6th grade class, and then enrollment is down.
Short term, it's not going to probably impact the teacher to student ratio.
Thank you, that was what I was actually starting. 50 seems like a lot of kids, it is a lot of kids. It's a lot of kids when you're looking at the money you don't get from the state. But they're not 50 from one grade. When I take those 50 students and divide it by 42 classes, because there's 6 classes per grade, K to 6, it's 1. It's 1 to 2 classes, so the class sizes aren't decreasing significantly, and no individual grade is decreasing enough that I can eliminate a classroom.
It's good because hopefully we don't necessarily want to do it immediately because hopefully less students per teacher Hopefully it's more
We
effective.
don't hate having smaller class sizes. I think Sturbridge's class sizes have always been pretty respectable. We don't hate having a little lower.
But the demands of
Right.
what goes on the teachers.
Better product, hopefully.
We don't hate that at all, as long as we can keep getting the funding that we need to keep delivering the service.
Cool.
Yes. All right.
Any questions on any other questions on the
So the numbers packet, you've got, I talked a little bit about page 1. Page 2 is just another summary, it's another cut of the different categories that we need for by the state in an attempt to put what we, salaries versus what we consider fixed costs and variable, although I think most of you would probably agree to say a textbook or teaching supplies are variable. It's questionable, we need technology textbooks and supplies to teach, so. But that's just another cut there.
I'm sorry, may I ask?
Mhm.
So the bottom part of that, even the dollar amount may not be big, the percentage change seems to be like building supplies and material up 26%, building projects up 162,
Yep.
46%.
And when we, as we go into this, we're gonna talk about your capital projects.
Excellent.
What I would ask you, and I'm trying to see where the technology,
Technology expenses are down.
the building projects are up significantly. Well, part of that technology decrease is, the other part of your capital plan, which we'll go through in a minute. Because our capital plan includes technology, devices, infrastructure, switches and servers, and building facility projects. So what you'll see is, for next year, we need to be heavier on the projects and lower on the technology devices. Okay? Sure. So I am now on your page 3, which is the first page of our kind of detail. And we'll go through each page again, as I said. If you have any questions, please jump in. I will start by explaining this first page is the 1,000 series, which, as you can see, is the school committee expenses for superintendent's office. This is Burgess's share of the full central office budget that was voted by all school committee members back in November. The 6 committees come together, vote the full budget. That full budget for all central office was up 2%. Burgess's share, the piece of the pie, because of that declining enrollment I just referred to, went down from 24.41% to 23.91%. So therefore, it's actually low. A 2% increase in the overall budget results in your share, Burgess's share, being down. That make sense?
Yes.
Other than that, there are no changes in the central office staff or services anticipations. Any questions there? Okay. Kathy and Kristen jump in.
So page 4 starts to see our 2000 series, which is construction. First and foremost, I just want to mention that the salaries for teachers includes the negotiation pool for unit negotiations, which are part of the process. In addition, there are 2 professional staff retirements reflected in that number as well. So a staff member going out at a higher end salary, hopefully we can get somebody at a more entry level. You'll also notice that line 215, our integration assistant line, does look like it's down. There's been some staff turnover in that group as well. Again, some of those higher salary staff have been replaced with lower salary staff with the same report. And then line 225, which is your contracted services, OT and PT. There is a larger transition of students moving from the 6th grade to the 7th grade. So they're leaving this building and going up to the junior high school. So those needs, obviously, those needs and those expenses travel with those students. So that is why there is a decline there.
But a heads up, you may see that line increase at Tantascwa. Yep, yep. Give and take. Yep.
Yeah, and so just on the technology, the 295 hardware, that's where we'll talk about the capital plan. So I'd like to do that when we look at the physical plan, capital plan as well, so we'll combine that.
How come, just up here, guys, it says 145, how come isn't the salaries are not broken out, just we know what is what. Why are they combined? Is that normal?
We've always combined the administration, principal and assistant principal on one line, that's a state reporting, asking for total administration in the building. We haven't in the past, I'm not opposed to in the future, there's very few that we put. I don't know if you're asking for individual or just the positions.
No, just curious. Exposing up like a principal, whoever here versus another school, it's easy to say, well, this principal may impact that principal.
Yeah, I know, the town
Why?
report reports all of that, but we certainly in the future, if there's an interest, can break that out by position.
In the other elementary schools, there's no assistant principals, so if there were, they would be in the same line. And here we have a staff and a student population that requires a building principal and multiple assistant principals.
It's 4 people in that line.
Four, yeah.
One principal, 3 assistant principals.
I need to.
Anything else on that page? I don't want folks over here to think I'm not paying attention to that. They're the ones that are gonna give us the money when it's all said and done, so no disrespect.
So you're, just as a reminder, so in line 170, your teacher salaries, that has the pool of dollars for the Unit A negotiations. So you may notice specifically line 275, that technology teacher, that particular group of people is not, or person is not moving a step along their salary grid, but they will get a raise once the contract is signed. And that money will be moved from line 170 to the other lines where our Unit A staff is located.
Does that make sense? But we did move throughout the whole thing. There's a number of professional staff that are slated to move in longevity, move steps, or move in education. So we've moved those for budget purposes. We just haven't added a COLA to any of the other professional lines and COLA
And
dollars.
145, the jump from 25 to 26, I think that's a higher, from 342 to 450,
Yes.
a higher.
Yes, in 26, it was a movement from a position that was in special ed that we made a special ed administrator. So back then, we should have also seen a decrease in a special ed or psychologist. So yes, it was for the last year, we created a position of student support services, special ed and student support services
So it
administrator.
wasn't who had it, just moved from one place to another.
Yes.
So what was the line item that's the special ed teacher for?
That it came from.
Yep.
It was the school psychologist line on page 5 out of 8, you're looking at 350.
Yeah, you see
Which you
the
from that school
decrease in
psych-
26? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll see a number of those lines where it's a unit of person who moved up. There were a number of column changes this year, 14 of them, so they're basically, there's a lot of them, and that's partly their reason.
So
Some of them happened
not
this year.
necessarily it's shifting.
Correct.
Positions.
So we left on the line, well, there was only that one shifting of position from special ed to administrator, but on all these other professional lines, given the current contract, they move columns based on education, and they move steps based on years. We've moved them. So only someone, for example, like the technology teacher who's maxed out, she's at the top of the step, she didn't get more education, maybe as far over as you can, that looks like it's a level salary. Our intention is certain to give raises, but we're negotiating, and we'll transfer out of line 170 to all the other lines once negotiations are done. Got it?
Thank you.
So the real moral of the story is, line 170, that looks like it's up a good chunk, I think that's a 6% increase, is not a 6% increase just for the classroom teachers. It's a total of dollars there. Okay?
So, for an individual who's maxed out, their salary only, that's the a general wage adjustment.
Correct, the COLAs, which will be part of the negotiation.
Do they get longevity?
This contract does have some longevity that's included in there, and in this particular case, if they're at maxed out, we're assuming that the contract stays the same and the longevity will stay the same. That would change our
So general wage adjustment is what's the next percent?
Correct.
Longevity pay is
a flat.
to give you a little bit more than just a general wage adjustment.
Yeah.
But that's only for that one particular year, it doesn't go.
Actually, the contract has longevity payments by years. 10, it could be 15, but at certain levels, say 15, I am spitballing, I don't remember them all.
So your longevity pay is.
15 contracts, I get them confused, but I'll tell you, for example, someone who's been here for 15 years may get $500 a year every year, until they've been here for 20 years, and then they get $1,000 more a year for every year, and then 25. Moving on, if we're good to page 5?
Just the remaining business of the 2000 series for instruction. So you've got your library, the remaining pieces of technology, guidance, and cyber projects.
No new staff, just step and column moving on the next one.
On page 5 of me, it's just it's the rest of the 2000s.
Page break after each series. All set on that page? You know, it's fun. Transportation.
Other school services, transportation, so we did discuss that the $140,000, we're going to reduce that line 410. It looks like it's $280,000, we're going to reduce by one bus, so that'll be $140,000. But what you won't see is less the TRSD assessment down the bottom, that 606 number will stay the same. So in essence, the Burgess budget pays for, we kind of split them out. Tantasco pays for less, Sturbridge.
So everything on the top, from the mechanic's salary down to the gasoline, is the total cost for the whole Sturbridge fleet and drivers that serves both the elementary school and Tantasco. So you put the total cost for the whole year, and then down the bottom, you see that subtraction, that's the secondary share. That's 606, that's what you will see on the calculation for the Tantasco transportation assessment, which is a separate line item. But then we reduce it by the state reimbursement, which is 75 to 80%. So the way we build this is the total cost, then we subtract the Tantasco. Of the total cost, one of those buses is the Burgess budget bus, and the other one is the Tantasco budget bus. We've had conversations with Barbara Berry and Robin Grimm. Those of you that were on the committee last year remember we had this conversation about the bus. We pulled it out last year and submitted an article. I think it was town meeting night that we said we withdraw the article, take no action, because we had grant money to pay for it. We started putting it back in. The word we're hearing from your finance director and Robin is they can hopefully balance the budget if we pull it back out and put that article back on for next year. So the school committee voted to submit the article for the one bus, the Burgess bus, to go to town meeting for the article. And at the end of tonight, unless we hear differently, we will subtract the $140,000 from the number they vote for the budget.
Okay, now come out of the free cash that we.
Correct. Does that make sense? So we're back to where we started last year, but then we, last minute, didn't even need it. We're going to go that route again this year, and we'll talk about it next year when we get there. Okay?
Yeah, we have a question about special ed transportation.
Yeah.
It's always a
Thank you for the prompting.
conversation.
Yeah.
So I know we increased the funds. When I looked at what we're projected to spend this year, it's more like $1,072,000. But I know our special ed numbers are down for next year, so we're anticipating
Correct.
less in
We're hoping we can be a little bit lower than this year, but clearly last year we were short, so we would be not doing our job if we didn't anticipate we need some increase.
Well, we think that
We think.
hopefully will cover us
Correct.
based on the projection.
Based on who we know right now that we need to serve for out-of-district and specialized transportation. The note for those who are new, that line, and when we get to tuitions at the very end, includes service for all Sturbridge students ages 2 years, 9 months through 22 that need specialized service out of district. It's not only elementary, it includes any secondary students to make sure that Sturbridge only pays for Sturbridge students. And that's the way it is across the district, instead of putting those secondary tuitions in a Tantascwa budget and then trying to divide that out by some percentage. You could end up paying for students that aren't yours, or your neighbors could pay for some of your students, and that's not fair. So it's a big number, but remember it covers elementary and secondary. Good? Great. Anything else on that page?
And the one other, I apologize, specialized transportation not only includes the special ed students who are going to out-of-district placements, but that covers any homeless students, any students who are in DCM housing. So pretty much any student that we need to transport outside of our regular big bus operation. The same age as all Sturbridge residents, wherever they're going, junior high, senior high.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
The next page is where we start having the interactive part of our evening. Kathy, Kristen, and I had a conversation this morning on utilities. So we're struggling a little bit. Fuel, right now, this year, you can see last year we only spent $75,000. Right now, we're spitballing. I think we're in line to spend about $90,000. So part of me wanted to say that we should knock this down to 100. We don't have rates locked in yet for next year. French River Collaborative, which is where we partner with to go out to bid, we rolled some dice, and this is one of the first time we rolled badly, because we typically go out in maybe November to get a bid in January, but rates were still falling. So they all, business managers, French River Collaborative, said, let's wait and see how much it falls. And then the world went a little bit crazy in the last week. So if they were falling, I'd be sitting here saying maybe we should reduce that to maybe 100. I don't know what to do. I don't know how bad things are, but I'm a little nervous doing that. That's my 2 cents worth. Electricity,
When do you have to make that decision?
when you tell us. So if we don't reduce it, we're going to vote a number. I'm saying it's possible that things were so tight that we could say, let's reduce that line by $10,000 or so. I'm just a little nervous doing it because we don't have the rates.
What I'm saying, you set a contract, an annual contract?
We do. So French River will absolutely, we'll go out to bid and sign a contract. We'll have rates by April or May. But at this point in time now, I think they're going to hold out a little longer to go out and see what happens. I don't know if things will get worse or better. Anyone that has a crystal ball, just let me know. Coupled with that, with no decision yet, electricity, I do think we could lower a little bit. We spent $70,000 last year. I think we'll be up a little bit this year, but we are very much at, I'm not going to say at the mercy, at the thanks of, I know the town enters into net metering credit deals. So unless there's new conversations going on at the town level, I think we may be in a place that we could maybe reduce that 10 or 15,000. And I guess I'm literally, what do you folks think? I'd be comfortable maybe reducing one line and not the other, or we let it hold, but I certainly am open to how tight is that budget. Any thoughts?
How about broader discussion? Let's say you have a $14 million budget. If you only need $13 million to run the school, that's all that we're gonna spend. We're gonna have $1 million
Correct.
worth of.
I'm gonna turn it back to you. You're gonna
Unlike
get it
in
back.
task where we send you 14 million and you keep.
Yep. Yep.
And we're also voting one number for your budget, even though you break it down here, one.
Because these folks are the ones then that get to vote or approve any movement from one line to
So you
another.
can move things around. If
Yes.
you're a little short in one line item here
Yep.
over another, you can.
Yep, correct. And that's part of our monthly conversations. We often are short and we say, we think we're okay because we're going to cover it here. Or we won't do something here because we know we need to cover it.
So what you're looking at, should I budget 114, 100 for electricity, it's at the end of your under budget, you can make up something.
Yeah, I'm either gonna turn it back or
Really comes
something
down
else
to
will have gone
contingency
wrong.
line item or how much.
Water and sewer, I think, I'm not sure what's happening with water and sewer rates, if they'll be changed at all. We didn't anticipate any changes.
I was just going to ask the question, revenues going down is actually, my expectation is they're both going to go up,
Do you think they're gonna?
at least 5%.
Okay, so that there to me, thank you, this is why I want to hear what's happening. That there to me says that I'm less comfortable adjusting on electricity if I know my water and sewer line's going to be even higher. Is that what you're saying? Well, stay. Then I'm going to recommend we hold on, but let you know, as we go through the next month or two, if $10,000 makes a difference between balancing that budget, we can talk. Yes?
Once the budget is released and the warrant articles made available,
Right.
a lot of that's going to show up.
Yeah.
It's already been discussed
Yeah.
preliminarily.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for your feedback. So I think now, sometimes we wait till the very end, but we may as well, we're on the page with the building projects. If Kathy takes us over to your other two-page handout that shows the capital plan, Kathy will walk through both the technology, hardware, and this project line, as far as our capital plan. Yes? Okay.
All right, so you'll see the total for the technology is 78,000, which is less than what we've had. We've decided to make some adjustments to our technology line in order to fund our physical plan capital plan. So I'll walk you through, we're looking at replacement of workstations at 10,000, the mobile devices, the Chromebooks and whatnot to 18, looking for $20,000 on smartboards and smartboards, 10,000 for printers, and then you'll see where there's a big difference between the 65,000 that we have had historically and we will have again in those for future years, which that is the major infrastructure work that is the servers, the switches, the batteries, and the Wi-Fi access points. That is, we're hoping is a one-year decrease because we really do utilize that full amount. So we come up with a total of 78,000. Next page is the physical plan, which you will see based on, yep.
I'm so sorry, but maybe I missed it. What is the reason for the one-year decrease?
Because we're going to actually go up to 125,000 on the physical plan.
Okay, that's for the 65,000.
Right. We're trying to come up with plans that are affordable by the town. And when we look at what's happening in our infrastructure, the servers, that our tech director, who is also our facilities director, said, we're okay putting a little pause on some of the servers and the switches as long as we get back at it next year. So that's where he said, we can decrease that because he feels these projects are more important than the technology. We've done a good job of keeping up with our technology needs. We had a number of federal grants, especially during the COVID years, that we ramped up and replaced a lot of the infrastructure, so we're in good shape.
We piggyback, technology, it's not, no one owns it, right? You piggyback with other schools, maybe he's talking AI, and he'd say that, but somewhere along the line it's gonna impact it. I don't think it's gonna be next year's budget, but we don't have a monopoly of it. What about all other schools? Is there some kind of committees or other places that we get involved with other schools? What are you doing here? What are you doing there? What do you see? So we can say, we don't want to reinvent any wheel, it's too expensive. I'd rather get someone else who did it and just take it in, right?
Mr. Rosso connects, there's a group of tech directors across the state that actually get together and they talk about this and strategize together.
You're pretty comfortable, we're right on top of it, huh?
I think we are in far better shape than a lot of other school districts. You know, technology is always, for 20 years, it's always been trying to keep up with it. It's changing, and what is complicating technology now, aside from AI, is security. So, you know, the constant need to update servers is connected to trying to constantly to stay ahead of security, and it is becoming more and more challenging, but we're doing okay.
So that tech facilities individual is separate from the one we have with town hall? That's
Correct.
And is that the individual, it's at the...
Central office. It's in your central office budget.
Serves Tantascwa, Burgess, and the other schools?
Yes, yes, from a high level. So he oversees each of the buildings. There is a technician, full-time technician here that he has kind of the dotted line. There's also the facility leads, the custodial leads that he works with. Yeah. We used to have a facilities manager and a technology director. And then 2 years ago, we had a turnover in staff and started having conversations and realized what we ended up doing is having a director of facilities and technology and an assistant director of facilities and technology because they overlap so much. If you think about 20 years ago, technology was separate than facilities. But there is so much electrical, technical component to facilities that there was a lot of overlap between the two. So Sturbridge, I think, might be looking at a similar model. I'm not going to say whether it works for you or not. It works for the schools. But again, that's just one or two people who oversee and support the 6 school districts, and each building has their own specific people for their. Okay.
And so on the physical plan, capital plan, you're going to see that in the second line down on the building management systems. That system is an automation system, and it integrates our HVAC, our fire, our safety, security, lighting systems. It helps to improve efficiency, and it helps to extend the asset life. So it's an expensive, as you can see, at $20,000, an expensive line. And again into next year, just trying to keep that up to date. So that's where the overlap between the technology and the facilities definitely comes in. The next line is for $10,000 for replacements of like floor machines, vacuums, etc. The HVAC, extraordinary parts and maintenance. We have a lot that needs to be done on that, so there will be a $50,000 expenditure there. And field maintenance and updates, we need a mower. So we've got $30,000 in there. And $15,000 on plumbing updates and upgrades, toilets, faucets, and the building is now getting a little bit older, so those types of things need to be put into our budget routine.
Just as a general question, for these items, you go out to bid and get 3 or whatever X amount of bids for the mower, the high-tech items.
State procurement laws, anything over, or is it 25 now though for schools? There's 3 quotes. It's interesting, a couple of years ago, under one of the governor's, what do they call it, Municipal Relief Act, schools the state had a threshold of anything over $10,000 you need to get 3 quotes. Anything over $50,000 you need to go out to formal bid. This municipal act a few years ago changed the thresholds. Over $25,000 you need to get 3 quotes, but we still do. And over $100,000 you need to go out to formal bid. That only changed for schools. I didn't know that until one of my neighbor town administrators was livid because the very small municipalities are still held to the lower thresholds. But we didn't really change our internal practices. When we get over something over $10,000, we get 3 quotes.
So if you able to execute these for less money than you're showing. Does that, you still have the flexibility to use that for another capital improvement that wasn't on the list, or is it limited to just these capital improvements?
We can look at what's happening within the budget, what the needs are. I will tell you, in my experience, one of these actually will come in higher than they should. And we'll be having conversations about what we might not do because of that, unless there is room elsewhere in the budget. They do their best, and it's part of building a capital plan, right? You build a capital plan, you want to say 5 years out, what do I want to do? I'm sitting here today saying 5 years from now, here's the price, I'll put a little bit more. By the time you get to that actual year, sometimes we fall short. And we're having conversations of what else is in the plan, or what else is in the budget.
So if you were to focus on this plan, it costs you more than what you're showing here, but if you go back to the bigger budget line,
Yes.
something in there.
Yes.
Or you can,
Correct.
likewise, if you underspend, one more of these, you can have additional capital items where we
What we are more often than not, just, we try to get the capital projects done over the summer. But if something comes in short, we're going to put a pause on it and wait until the end of the school year to see if something else should out in the budget to be able to do.
Right, something that is
So when you look at the grand total between both of these items, we are looking for capital projects / technology combined to move from 150 to 203, so that is part of the increase in this budget, and then kind of keep it that level. But we did feel that there were some projects that we really needed to move forward. Okay. Back to, so anything else on, that was page 7, that was, the projects line is the end there, the technology hardware was earlier in the budget. Any other questions on that page?
Page 8, talking about your tuitions, and as I've already said, so these are your tuitions for all of your Sturbridge residents receiving instruction outside of your typical classroom. Ages 9 to 22. In your mass students area, you've got 20 students in that pocket for the 550 series. You've got 14 students in your private schools, the line 5 by 5, and then in the collaborative, there are 3 schools that are.
What was the 550?
20. So those are your, in the Union 61 programs, the less expensive ones that we keep in-house. We've got a number of programs here in Sturbridge. We've got programs here, we've got programs at Brimfield and one thing I do want to say with our private tuitions is that we do get some additional relief from circuit breaker, and for this line item, that is about $700,000, so we are utilizing those funds. So we're not asking for as much from the general budget because we're utilizing those things as well.
So the true cost of those 14 private tuitions is about $1.4 million. And we are anticipating $700,000, give or take, from the state for circuit breaker. So that would be the net number here.
With the bus reduction, the new number will be $360,650, just about 2.15%. Decrease.
I have one more change, I think, around 2.5. So 14360650, barring any other questions, when we close the public hearing, we're going to go back to regular session, but that will be the number we'll be recommending. Right.
We're here to answer questions. We're not answering the same one.
So last year, you did buy 2 buses. So the plan is 2 buses.
Correct. Yeah.
And the article fails, then you just buy 1 bus.
Yeah, then that would be a problem, but.
In the central budget, I didn't realize we shared it, that's good. How do we do by percentage of student, or how do we?
Yeah, percent. So October 1 is our magic date as well as the state. On October 1, we fill out this document that reports every student in the building as of October 1 in all of the buildings. That gets sent up to the state, and they start working on Chapter 70 calculations. We do a document that puts them all together with all 5 towns, and then by percentage, that's what we use to divide central office budget. Because in theory, we are supporting all of those kids on a head count, we divide out our budget. Yep. That percentage does change every year.
So there is one number that always emphasizes that we should be careful at this number because of minimum spending.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, you know, I don't have, I think last year we were low 22% over net school required spending. I will get back to you all, I'm sure you're going to want to chat at some point in time, but this will put us in line. Low 20s. Questions tonight?
This is probably maybe off the budget, related to the budget. Last year, you came in with a tremendous amount of initiatives, all of which were good, really positive. How are we doing with that? Do you see any impact on scoring, increasing, or not?
MCAS?
Right, so we did have actually our MCAS scores for 25, so not necessarily pertinent to the initiatives, but all of the initiatives, but we definitely saw some good growth. We are categorized by the state as making substantial progress towards targets. Our 3rd grade ELA was recognized as one of the top 5 scores in central Massachusetts. Definitely seeing some progress within the younger grade levels. Our reading and reading teachers are noticing a nice boost in their abilities. So hopefully that's reflective of the initiatives we're putting in place.
It's extremely important. I've moved around a lot my life, went all over, and I would move into a town with a quality school system, period. And there was a survey floating around, I just saw it when I got back from vacation, about, we need more people in Sturbridge, more housing or multifamily, or whatever. But I tell you, number one up there would have to be the school system. Because if you ever want to see people exit, have a declining school system.
Yeah.
My opinion.
We oftentimes will have families enrolling in the school, coming in to enroll their children in the school, who just purchased a piece of property here in town, and their number 1 reason for purchasing in Sturbridge is the school system. Over and over and over.
The cash flow is really quality too. Yeah, that's just doing well. So we can match performance there and here.
We do match it. I
Yeah.
mean, in some ways we exceed it. It's just, it looks different. And when you're assessing children who are 8 years old versus children who are 17 years old, there's a difference there. So you're teaching them how to take a test and things like that at this level. We have great growth and we have a lot to be proud of.
It's good.
Okay. Closing the public hearing at 7:17. We're going to scoot over to take a vote. Folks, you don't have to join us, you're welcome. Thank you all for your time. Coming back into the meeting.
Coming back into the meeting. Okay, do I have a motion to move forward with the budget in the amount of $14,360,650?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Karen, I'm not sure whose names you're choosing. Just throw them in
I
everybody.
got it.
There was a double-double.
It was. Pick and choose. Okay.
Then you're all
Do
adjourning.
I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Awesome.
7:20.
Thank you much,
Karen,
ladies.
that one too.
Got it. Perfect.
I'll keep you posted.
Yep.
Okay,